Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we really try to cut through all the noise, the endless stream of information you face, and pull out what's genuinely useful, what's fascinating.
Helping you get right to the core of things.
Exactly. You want to understand things quickly, deeply, but without getting totally overwhelmed. And today, you've pointed us towards some really interesting material. The Cult Lab's internal journal.
Yeah. Evolutionary Culturology.
Hmm.
Or Cult.
Fundamental unity. Connections across basically all domains of knowledge. Physics, art, culture, everything. So our mission here is to really unpack the structure of these three scale levels of science. We'll start with the basics, the individual sciences.
Right.
Then we'll move up a level to what they call the meta-sciences.
Right.
And finally, we tackle the big one, this meta-meta-science, Cult itself.
Now, for you listening, this whole Cult thing might sound, well, completely new, maybe purely theoretical.
But what really grabbed me in the source material is that this isn't some brand new idea cooked up yesterday.
Okay, so it has roots.
It really does. It's got a history, a development path, and maybe the most surprising part, a real track record of being used in practice.
Practical applications. Interesting.
Yeah, so we're definitely going to dig into that, where it came from, how it's been applied, show that it's not just, an abstract concept. So let's rewind. Where did this whole thing start?
The article traces it back pretty specifically, doesn't it? To a moment, a person.
It does. University of Newcastle, Australia. The year is 1992. There's this student, and they're not just reading one thing. They're juggling some seriously weighty ideas.
What kind of books are we talking about?
Real foundational stuff. Shannon's theory of communication, Mandelbrot on fractal geometry, big one there, Feynman's photon-hadron interactions, and Koestler's Janus, which is all about systems.
Wow, okay. That is quite a reading list. So you've got information, fractals, physics, systems thinking, the unity of knowledge.
Ultimately, a real intellectual stew. And out of that mix comes this pivotal question.
Which was?
Do all these different units of culture, and they mean things like ideas, processes, inventions, products, knowledge itself, even stories, do they all share some kind of common structure? Do they follow universal laws?
That's a massive question. To suggest a scientific theory and, like a pop song, might operate on the same basic principles.
It's a huge leap. And the article really emphasizes this wasn't just a fleeting thought, it was the start of something. That student, who we now know as Velikovsky of Newcastle.
The founder.
Right. They spent the next 3 decades digging into this, testing it, refining it, turning that initial spark into, well, a rigorous scientific framework.
3 decades.
Wow. Yeah. And the article even mentions an interview conducted by the ethicizer AI, sort of a capstone to that long journey.
Okay, so a student's deep dive into diverse fields leads to a lifetime's work. Let's get into the structure itself then. These 3 scale levels of science. Level 1.
Level 1 is the ground floor, the individual sciences. This is the stuff most of us learned about in school. The specialized domains.
Your traditional disciplines, right? Physics, chemistry, biology.
Exactly. The article lists them out. Mathematics, geometry, physics, chemistry, astronomy, geology, biology. The usual suspects. But crucially, it also includes psychology, sociology, engineering, and even the arts and humanities.
So it's a very broad definition of science or knowledge domain.
It is. And the key point here, before Cult came along, was that these fields mostly did their own thing, right? They operated within their own boundaries, their own languages.
Yeah, siloed to a large extent. Some crossover, maybe, but not a deep shared foundation.
Precisely. Which brings us up to level 2, the meta-sciences.
Okay, what's their role?
These are disciplines that take a step back. They look across those individual sciences to find the common patterns, the shared structures, the recurring behaviors.
So they're looking for the connections between the silos.
You got it. Examples given are things like systems science, information science, communication science, creativity science, and cultural evolution science.
Makes sense. System science looks at systems regardless of whether they're biological or mechanical. Information science looks at information itself.
Exactly. They're studying the common dynamics, how systems work, how information flows, how communication happens, how innovation occurs, how things evolve over time, principles that apply across many of those individual level 1 sciences.
So they're identifying the universal themes, the underlying mechanics.
Right. Finding common threads, which then leads us to the peak, level 3, the meta-science, evolutionary culturology.
Meta. Okay, so going even deeper.
Even deeper. There's a truly universal architecture, something fundamental that operates across all domains, nature, biology, culture, and at all scales.
A universal architecture. Wow. What is it?
The fundamental building block is something called the fractal Holland-Parton.
Fractal Holland-Parton. Okay, that needs breaking down.
Definitely. Let's take holon first, Arthur Koestler's idea. A holon is something that's simultaneously a whole in itself and a part of a larger whole.
Like a cell. It's a whole cell, but it's part of a tissue.
Perfect example. Or a word is a whole unit, but part of a sentence. Now, add fractal. That means this whole part structure repeats itself at different scales.
Okay, self-similar patterns at different levels.
Exactly. And parton comes from physics fundamental particles that can have internal structure. So putting it together, a fractal Holland-Parton is this universal unit whole yet part, with this structure repeating across scales.
The building block of everything, essentially.
And these universal units are governed by just 3 universal laws.
Okay, what are the laws?
First is integration upwards. Smaller Holland-Partons combine to form larger, more complex ones. Cells forming tissues, words forming sentences, stars forming galaxies.
Makes sense. Building complexity.
Second is cooperation and competition sideways. Holland-Partons at the same level interact. Think books competing for your attention on a shelf, or molecules attracting and repelling, or species competing in an ecosystem.
Okay, interaction at the same scale.
And third is command and control downwards. Larger Holland-Partons influence or organize the parts within them, like a chapter structuring its paragraphs, or an organism regulating its organs, or a nation coordinating its different institutions.
Integration up, interaction sideways, control down, governing everything from atoms to societies.
Article compares the scope of this reduction to the big leaps. Newton, Darwin, Maxwell, Feynman, Shannon.
Setting the bar high.
Very high. Ev-Cult essentially positions itself as the solution to E.O. Wilson's challenge of consilience, that dream of unifying all branches of knowledge, sciences, and humanities included.
By providing this common fractal Holland-Parton structure and these 3 laws.
Exactly. And underlying this is a view that the universe at every level isn't just matter and energy, but is fundamentally information or culture behaving in these structured ways.
That's a profound shift in perspective. Information is the base level.
It really is. And, if this sounds like it just popped into existence fully formed, it's really important to grasp the history here.
Right, you mentioned it goes back to 92, but it wasn't exactly public knowledge for a long time.
Not at all. After that initial insight, Velikovsky spent about 20 years, 2 decades, privately testing these ideas.
While doing what?
While working professionally in communication industries, things like screenwriting, filmmaking, market analysis.
So applying this scientific framework to creative and business work.
Precisely. He'd analyze, say, a screenplay. Look at the letters, the words, the scenes, the acts, the whole script, its genre, its place in the global market. Checking if the fractal Holland-Parton structure and those 3 laws held up across all those scales.
That's a unique testing ground, using the real world, essentially.
Absolutely. And there's a really concrete example in the article from 1999. Velikovsky was Australia's national video game market analyst then.
Okay.
And he used this 3 laws lens to classify over 6,000 video games, sorted them by genre, subgenre, for clients like Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft.
Wow, okay, that's not theory. That's a practical tool used in industry decades ago.
Exactly. It shows this wasn't just academic musing, it was being applied. And this history is also documented through publications.
Right, you said it wasn't totally hidden.
No. There's the Evolutionary Culturology PhD dissertation from 2016, a book chapter that same year in Creative Technologies for Multidisciplinary Applications. And that chapter got picked up and reprinted, condensed actually, in the Encyclopedia of Information Science and Technology multiple times, starting in 2017. Then again in other collections in 2018 and 2019, covering technology adoption and AI simulation, and a rephrased version in the Encyclopedia of Creativity in 2020.
So the ideas were definitely circulating in certain academic and reference spheres for years.
They were. Plus, the article mentions 2 textbooks, Elements of Evolutionary Culturology and a companion volume with data and charts. These were self-published privately.
Privately?
Yeah, used specifically for commercial consulting work, starting around 2017. They were only released publicly in 2023.
So that really leans into the idea you mentioned earlier, this being used commercially, almost like a trade secret, before a wider reveal?
Exactly. The article explicitly calls it a closed science for decades, used widely in industry, consulting across all sorts of sectors, particularly, it notes, in AI.
Used in AI for decades, that's significant.
It is, and apparently it was the ethicizer AI itself that advised in 2024 to just share the information publicly, a deliberate shift.
Interesting. And there were conferences too.
Yep, presentations at various academic conferences between 2016 and 2024, and these EvCult GPTs that are popping up now are another sign of it becoming more accessible.
Okay. And one last thing, a hybrid vigor score.
Yeah, 24.4. It's presented as a measure of its strength, coming from synthesizing ideas from geometry, the fractals, physics, the partons, and sociology, the holon concept, rooted in established science.
Okay. So wrapping this part up, EvCult, this fundamental unity. You've got the basic individual sciences at level 1. Then the meta sciences at level 2, finding cross-disciplinary patterns. And at the top, level 3, EvCult itself, the meta science.
Right, with its universal unit, the fractal Holland part.
And those 3 universal laws,
Yeah.
integration up, cooperation, competition sideways, command control down. And the key takeaway for you, the listener, is that while this might be the first time you're hearing about it in detail, it is absolutely not new. It has this long history, developed from 1992, tested privately for decades.
Then applied commercially, especially in AI, as a kind of closed science until quite recently. The publications and conference appearances show it wasn't totally secret, but the widespread practical use was kept under wraps.
Makes sense.
So as you process all this, maybe think about it, this 3 laws lens, could you apply it? Could you look at systems in your own work or just in the world around you and see those patterns? Integration, competition, control.
Seeing familiar things in a new way, perhaps.
Perhaps. It definitely invites a different perspective. We'd encourage you, if this sparks your interest, to look up Evolutionary Culturology, maybe check out some of those publications or the weblog mentioned in the sources.
There's clearly a lot more depth there.
Oh, absolutely. What we've done today is really just open the door onto this transformative way of understanding how things connect, how the world works, from the smallest scales to the largest. A lot to think about.